9 on March 17th, 2015. We're going to begin with a salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Brasky?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here. Before we begin, we have a pretty simple agenda tonight, very straightforward. I did want to pause just to recognize horrible incident that happened in Philadelphia, I guess a little over 10 days ago. A police officer was shot and killed in line of duty. Officer Robert Wilson, I believe his name was, shot and killed in line of duty. Some of the members of our police force were in attendance at his viewing and also at the funeral the following day. And in talking to the chief of police, he had communicated with somebody who had actually seen some of the surveillance video from inside the store when the incident happened, and said that the actions of Officer Wilson were way above and beyond the call of duty, pushing innocent people out of the way, pushing them to cover while he himself stayed in the open, drawing fire from the two criminals as they shot at him, and therefore saving the lives of everybody else in the building. And so it's another example of the problems that we face, I think, as a country that we don't really face enough. It's easy just to forget about them and push them aside and worry about issues that aren't really as important or as valid, in my personal opinion. But I think in memory of Officer Wilson and his, or Sergeant, I think he was promoted to Sergeant posthumously. In honor of Sergeant Wilson, I'm going to ask for just a moment of silence and prayer for his family. Okay, thank you. Now we're going to begin with our public comment. Typically, we have three people from the public signed up for public comment. I'm actually going to start with the gentleman who signed in last, simply because he's here from one of our boards and commissions to make a report, and he has another commitment tonight, so I promised him he could go first. I'm sure Mr. Kenny and Mr. Mariani won't mind holding off a little bit. Mr. Hess?
Thanks for bumping me up, Bob. Nice to see everyone. The reason I'm here this evening is to speak about a new initiative that the supervisors, in conjunction with the township staff, have initiated. The main mission or the role of the Community and Economic Development Commission is, not surprisingly, to promote economic development, business development in the township. Interestingly, one of the enabling ordinance for the CEDC, the line reads that in order to accomplish that mission, we should assist commercial enterprises to locate, expand, and revitalize within Falls Township. So that really, inherent in that definition, is that one of the good ways to promote and support economic development is to support businesses that we already have in the township. And we believe that it follows that one good way to support the existing businesses is to let everyone know about them and about the various products and services that they have to offer. And to that end, the supervisors, again, in conjunction with Pete Gray and the township staff, have formed and initiated what we're calling the Live Here, Spend Here program. And to put it in very simple terms, what this program will aim to provide information to everyone, township residents particularly, about businesses in the township, and encourage residents to patronize these businesses. And what the overall objectives of doing this are several. One is basically to keep the flow of spending within the township. And hopefully what that will do will help to maintain those businesses, possibly support growth, to maintain their employment. For the budget purposes, hopefully it will help to preserve, if not grow a little bit, the non-residential tax base. It will it will make people more aware of, and hopefully, again, encourage them to patronize a wide range of products and services that these businesses have to offer. And very importantly, too, in the research that we've done, we see it's being used to build community, support community groups, particularly nonprofits groups, such as our youth sports leagues, emergency service providers, and others. And again, it's basically a community building effort to promote development from within the township. We certainly see that the township has a wide range of businesses already, large and small, some with a long history, some family-owned. And so as we've been looking at other programs, there's two in particular that we have noted that seem to be pretty active. One is in Blair County, Pennsylvania, which is the Altoona area. And the other is our neighbor across the river in Burlington County, New Jersey. So we've been looking and seeing some of the activities that we've been doing. And what we've decided in talking with Pete and with Matt Markey, what we've decided to launch with the endorsement of the supervisors as a first activity is to produce and to air a short, say 5-minute video of a featured business. And to do that, we're thinking to start once a month. We'll enlist a business. The video will provide a little bit of background about the overall program, such as I'm giving to you here this evening, and then to have information about the background and the history of that business, what makes it unique, what types of services they offer, and what basics what their hours are, and basically just to get the word out about this particular business. We wouldn't be looking, we're hopeful it's not going to be looked upon as favoring any one particular business. Again, the idea the concept is broader, is to promote the awareness of all businesses within the township. But we're hopeful of featuring individual businesses, certainly, that will give the consumers, the residents, information on a particular business that maybe they're not aware of, and encourage them to check them out. So this video, we're envisioning that this video, when done, will be run on the cable access network in conjunction, I don't know, front or back with the airing of the supervisors' meetings. Posted on a web page. We'll have a special web page dedicated to the program on the township website. The Facebook page that the township maintains, and any other appropriate sources that we might be able to identify. So that's basically where we're at with the initiative. Again, the CEDC, myself, on behalf of the other members, will be working closely with Pete and Matt Markey and Teresa Catalinas. We're looking forward to getting started on this. So that's the overview that we have to share with you tonight, and welcome to any questions or comments or discussion that you might have.
Okay. Thank you, first off, for the work you're doing, and obviously Mr. Gray as well, and Ms. Catalinas, who's been working with us newly retained to help us sort of improve our ability to spread information around the township about things going on. I'm going to ask if Mr. Dents wants to say anything. This was really kind of an idea he brought up some time ago. So.
I just think it's a great idea. I mean, I've considered it for a while, talked about ways to implement it, and talking with Pete, you know, I know the CEDC was looking for a new project. So when you hit the ground running, I appreciate that.
Good. We appreciate the opportunity. I think it was good timing.
I think it's going to grow as it goes. You mentioned Burlington County, and I originally got the idea while working in Burlington County at the county office buildings. And they actually have a logo and stickers that they put on businesses to remind people when they're shopping there. And something to think about is there's approximately 13,100 some households in Falls Township. If each of those households consciously spent $20 a week that they normally spend somewhere else, that's over $13.5 million a year that's going into the local economy. And like you said, it creates jobs, it creates a non-residential tax base.
Yep.
So it's really a no-brainer. And when you become more aware of the services and businesses in the township, you really don't have to go far. You really don't have to go out of the township to spend your money in the things you need.
That was something else that was mentioned, at least on one of the websites that I saw, was the environmental savings, you know, saving on gas and travel time and such. So yeah.
Because right along with the sidewalks we're doing now, you can walk to places to do your shopping or ride your bike rather than driving.
Yep, great.
Any other comments from board members? Mr. Galloway?
Yeah, I just know that I've served the last few years with Jim on the CEDC, and I look forward to working with you on this project. And Mr. Dents, it's a great idea, and let's have fun with this next year or two.
Absolutely, thanks. Yep.
Mr. Boraski?
Yeah, just thank you for your time, your hard work. And one thing I know you touched on was even some businesses that may have existed for a while in the township and people might not know that they're there, or, you know, I think that was a good point, you know, to showcase them, and whether they're new or they've been established for many years. I think, you know, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, Pete started a list of possible candidates just for the video, so we could, you know, we figured we'd work on that a little bit. So I guess at some point, Pete, maybe we could circulate that around. And actually, I think Teresa mentioned earlier about maybe on the website, just maybe have a nomination type of thing, have people suggest candidates for being involved in the program, whether it be a video or some other way more actively in the program. So, yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Rocco?
Just thank you for all your work. I think it makes a big difference, so appreciate it.
Yeah, and I agree, and I talked with Mr. Gray also about ways to, because like you said, it is open to anybody. We're, you know, we don't want to show any kind of favoritism. We're really open to anybody that wants to have their business, you know, kind of talked about. And, you know, I would even be in favor of seeing businesses that aren't necessarily, you know, businesses for residential use. I mean, we have a lot of industries in this township that most people don't even realize exist. You know, the kind of things that are made in this township, you know, the kinds of products that come out of this township that I think a lot of people would be surprised to see and to learn about.
That's an interesting point, and I guess along those lines, and maybe we're going off in a slightly different direction there, but for places that are more industrial or warehouse type of uses, maybe eventually you might get into working with them in terms of if they're suppliers, you know, for bigger businesses within the township. It's
Right.
somewhat the same concept, so, yeah, that's good.
But yeah, so I definitely trying to think of a way to, or you talked about having nominations, so anybody that wants to have their business looked at, and we just sort of like randomly choose
Yeah.
one a month or one every couple of weeks or whoever, you know, but yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I'm excited to see you guys moving forward on it. And I've worked with you before on the CEDC before Mr. Galloway kind of took over as liaison, and I know you'll do good work, and you have a good board, and
Thank you.
and they're looking for more members.
We
All right,
are.
so-
Excellent point, Bob. We still need 2 more members, so
Yeah.
anyone who's got some nominations.
Oh, yeah, people are interested. You
Yeah.
hear what they're doing, and you get a chance to see Mr. Hess, and he's been chair for the last several years, and he's done an excellent job. So,
Maybe we could consider a contest to design a logo for residents to actually help design it. Something to think about.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Mr. Hess. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. We really appreciate the opportunity to be involved, and we look forward to working with everyone on it.
Okay, great.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Okay, Roland Kenny.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Roland Kenny Falls Township. Still going to hit you up for that EIT until we get it. We need it in this township. I don't care what any of you say. Now, we have a gentleman over there running for another office. And if I got it right in the papers, he gets them building a $20 million courthouse and a
$20 million garage.
garage.
Yeah.
And, well, it's courthouse, too.
Well,
No,
no,
it's
that's
more
just the
than 20
garage.
million.
That's just the garage was 20 million.
It's yeah, it's almost 90 million for the courthouse.
Oh, that's
So-
okay, too. You okay with that?
I don't want to talk about it here. This is
No.
Falls Township business.
Well, here, are you for an EIT or not?
We've looked into the matter. We had it.
$17 million for this place don't bother you.
You're talking about several different issues.
Yes.
Right.
$17 million here?
And earned income tax, we looked at it, we didn't, because I voted no. But some of the board members here did look into it. And the numbers didn't justify to them
Right.
having an EIT.
It's a tax increase for
matter how you look at it, you're
65%
raising
of the
taxes.
township.
How are we going to pay for this building?
Waste management.
Is gonna
You know,
Right.
one of the dumps closed down in 17. We all know that, right?
Yeah, that's
another one coming
yeah.
online.
There's another one that's in full force, and another one
Right.
that's coming online in a year.
Is that what's going to pay for it, the dump?
Yes.
Yeah,
Dumps, plural.
right.
Yeah, they in your backyard?
They're nobody's backyard, that's the
Yeah,
point.
not in your backyard.
Closer to me and you.
By less than 100 mile. In fact, they might be closer to me than they are you,
No, they ain't.
depending on which road you drive.
Oh, which, Jesus, you gotta be kidding. You're gonna say 13
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly right.
in Tiber Road?
Do you know where I live?
Yeah, up that way,
Getting nervous.
up that
I'm
way.
only teasing you.
I know where you live. I know your exact house. What else did I want to talk about, Guido? He's telling me write down stuff. I never write down nothing. Hey, how much we pay you an hour, fella?
I believe I'm paid by the township $170 per hour.
Yeah, and you're always the last one that comes in here.
Because I'm always doing so much in the back that it takes me a longer time to bundle up all of my materials.
Well,
to
we
bring
got to
them
get
out.
you a helper.
He's also a lot older than most of us.
That's
so
right,
it's like,
that's
you know,
right.
it takes him
Older
long.
than who?
Me.
He's a kid. He's a kid to me. All right, God bless
Okay.
you. Good night.
All right.
I'm glad you said something about Officer Wilson. Thank you.
Sure, thank
Happy
you.
St. Patrick's Day.
Same to you. I get operator on Good Friday.
Huh?
So say
Good luck.
Best of luck. Mr. Mariani.
It's a tough act to follow, Mr. Mariani.
No. Listen, during the last meeting, after Mr. Gray reported on our current prosperity and the splendid credit rating that we have, which in large measure, I believe, is due to some $250 million probably collected from the dump since 1988 in host fees. Now, our chairman made reference to my mention of several municipalities who are in financial distress or in a bankruptcy position. But then he added, whole government going under, and I don't ever remember saying whole government going under, and where did that come from?
I don't think I didn't mean to attribute that to you, so if that's the way it came across, I apologize. No, but
you don't
certainly
have to
there are people that, complain about.
Oh, I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Now, I have
way you
mentioned communities like Detroit, Stockton, Jefferson County, close by Harrisburg, Harrison, and Salem, New Jersey. And I point to these examples. This is why I bring this up all the time, so that we may avoid the mistakes that resulted in their dire circumstances. And again, I do that because I firmly believe that the one thing we learn from history is that we learn nothing from history. That's why this is repeated. Now, most municipalities don't fail for lack of revenue. That's not the reason they fail. It's just because the income is there and may exceed their present needs, that doesn't mean it has to be spent, but spend they do. And they will spend it, and they will spend more. And the more income you give any government, the more money they're going to spend at any level. So the reason why many municipalities feel or find themselves in economic distress, I believe, and you take a good look at everyone that's in that position, is their municipality obligated them to unnecessary projects, and I'll say it again, unnecessary projects, and the cost to maintain them. That's how you get yourself in trouble. That's what I want us to avoid. Each project that you get into that becomes a permanent part of your present budget and your future budgets and the future tax increases when the initial funding source ceases, the dump, your host fees. When that stops, if you've obligated this community, not only Falls, I'm not talking about, any community, that's how you get yourself in trouble. I'll give you some advice. Don't ever become like those municipalities, and the big problem they have, they fall in love with their goals, and they ignore reality, present and future. Don't fall in love with your goals, whatever they happen to be. You pay attention to the present and your near future. I'd like to see us again establish a version of the Federal Grace Commission. I think this township in particular can use something like that. And again, I would ask you to expand your tax base. Think about that. Don't wait too long to do it. I can think of an article that, quoting Mr. Gray and Andy Warren, that goes back to, I think it was 2008. And Andy Warren was one of them telling them in Teletown, start thinking about raising your taxes, because I'm going to tell you something. That money that you think you have in the bank goes fast when that dump gets filled, if they allow it to get filled. So just something to think about.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Those are all the names on the list. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay. All right, let's move to agenda item number 2, KVK Technologies, preliminary and final land development. Mr. Gray?
Yes, as mentioned, this is for KVK Technologies preliminary and final land development for Phase 1 and preliminary land development for Phase 2, located at 38 Cabot Boulevard. The applicant is looking to construct an addition to an existing industrial building. Tonight, to discuss this item, is Mr. Nate Fox.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Gray, and thank you, Mr. Harvey, and members of the board. We have received the approval resolution for review. We've reviewed the conditions. All conditions are acceptable. We can gladly go through the waivers in detail. Would you, any guidance or direction on what you'd like to hear from us tonight before we start the presentation? I'll give a general overview in a moment, but
Well, I think a couple things just before you start the overview, maybe you can incorporate this. It's a little odd. We're doing 2 different phases of the same kind of site. So you're looking preliminary and final for one aspect, but you're only looking preliminary for another. So I just want to make sure that everyone's clear on, if you could go through that and explain. And I guess maybe in terms of the waivers, I know quite a few of them are involving curbs and plantings and street trees. This is in industrial areas, and we've never really required that in industrial areas. There is, I know, a couple issues regarding slope and also the parking within a certain distance of the building. Those are some of the things that come to my mind, but that's, so just, I guess you want to go through your presentation, and board members, I'm sure, because we know quite a bit about the project, and I know we've had a lot of interaction between your client and our staff, so I know they might probably have some issues of their own, but go ahead.
yeah, and absolutely. And just at the outset, we'll thank Township staff. We've worked very closely with them the last several months, having regular meetings, and they've been incredibly helpful and responsive, and we really do appreciate them helping us get here this evening. I also have Mark Havers, our project engineer. And Mark, would you mind just giving an overview of the reason for the 2 phases and what each phase incorporates?
Yes. As you know, the project is 2 phases. The darker orangish color is a Phase 1 addition, with the lighter color being Phase 2. That was mainly done for NPDES permitting requirements. The Phase 1 addition, they need to get up as soon as possible. That area was less than an acre of disturbance. Once we add into Phase 2, we're over and need an additional permit, which is a longer time frame. It's been applied for. It should be coming shortly, hopefully. The project's located on Cabot Boulevard, Route 1, just to the north. The existing building is about 158,000 square feet. The first phase addition is approximately 8,500 square feet, with the second phase being about 5,600 square feet.
Okay. Would you mind just giving an idea, what does KVK do? What is this building gonna
Sure.
be?
Absolutely. KVK is a pharmaceutical manufacturing company, and this will be a manufacturing facility. It will be one under single ownership. The bump out is for some infrastructure items to support the manufacturing. This will be largely a sterile environment, and I apologize, I'm not an expert in pharmaceutical manufacturing, but it's just a broad overview. a lot of the project information and the internal information relative to the interior building permits and whatnot relate to the need for FDA approval and sterility in the manufacturing process. So what we're here for tonight is the orange area for preliminary final, and the tan, as Mr. Havers had explained. So and that's, we've received the zoning variances as required, and hopefully that it's a good enough summary to give an idea of what we're doing.
Yeah.
I did have one question. How many people do you guys employ? Just out of curiosity.
If I don't know, do you mind? And it's Mr. Tabasso, President and CEO, so 200 as of today, and approximately how many will be at this site?
It'll be, a ramp up over 4 to 5 years. It could be, depending on how the operations roll out, up to another 100 years.
Okay, thank you.
And those would largely be manufacturing type jobs and probably some technical and R&D types as well?
The vast majority of it will be manufacturing, technical, and scientific jobs.
Thank you.
Just because Mr. Thomason isn't on microphone, saying over the course of 4 or 5 years, employment at this particular facility will go up to possibly 150, and the jobs 150.
So it'd be an additional 150 at this site, so is that 350 total in the company?
Okay, in the company. So not at this site or the site you have in Newtown?
We anticipate that the ramp up for this particular site
Right.
over 4 to 5 years will be up to 150.
Okay, up to 150, all right. Because this, I know just from reading the newspaper, this was the company that bought part of or all of the Lockheed property up near the, off the bypass in Newtown. So for one facility, this is another facility. And the jobs will be manufacturing, some scientific jobs, and some other research jobs. So no one's going to hear him because he wasn't on the mic. That's fine.
And absolutely, and I think if I may jump in and address probably a question that'll come down later, this is part of KVK's plan for expansion. We would not be here tonight asking for the relief if the plan was not to get going at this facility and use and ramp up this facility. So if I think that was where the question might have been heading, and I apologize if I interrupted you.
That's fine.
So as to if you'd like, we can jump into the waivers.
If you don't mind,
Sure.
just going to the waivers you're requesting?
Sure, absolutely. And if you can hear me, I'll turn this back over to Mr. Havers. So section 19136D, requiring all driveways except for single-family dwellings to have curb meetings, the specifications of the Falls Township design details of practices. You mind just pointing it out on the plan and explaining why we are requesting that waiver?
Yes. It's in this location where we're going to be putting new curb in the driveway. The existing curb does not meet township standards, so rolled asphalt curb. We're just asking to continue that. As well, in this location, most of the curb is the bumper blocks, just sort of set in grade, and we're asking to continue that use as well over here.
And the next waiver, section 19137B, requiring a minimum of 15 feet of open space between the proposed parking and the proposed building. Same thing, just highlight that in the plan and explain why we need that relief.
It's in this area here that's currently already paved. It was loading docks at one point. Now it's just going to be restriped and become paved parking, but it's already paved today.
Great. And the next waiver is from section 19137G1, which requires curbed raised planting beds at intervals not to exceed 20 spaces at the end of each parking row. Same thing, just give a summary of that.
Again, it's an existing parking lot, completely paved, no islands, and we're just simply adding striping.
And our third waiver is from section 19137G2, requiring curbed raised planting beds to be planted with one shade tree per bed. And just cover that. Go back and forth here.
Basically the same thing. There are some existing islands today in the existing parking lot. In a new area, again, it's just being restriped or striped to provide parking.
So, Mr. Fox, we'll stipulate here that the next 19137G4 talks about trees every 6 parking spaces, 19148A, street trees along the side. I don't think anybody up here has an issue with that. If you don't mind just focusing in on 19145C regarding drainage, and then the steep slopes, 19152-1. In the last one, too, 19178, that's not necessarily an issue either. So just the two about the slopes and also the drainage issue. If you don't mind addressing those?
Yeah, absolutely. 19145C, requiring documentation that assures permission from the entity that the drainage easement is in favor of. If this waiver were to be granted, that's an absolute will comply. There is an existing easement. We believe that provides the ability to install utilities and do whatever work we need to do there. However, that's not to the satisfaction.
I'm sorry, Nathan. If you look at paragraph 11, as opposed to the actual waiver list,
So from your review letter?
no, the resolution.
The resolution,
Oh, the
sure.
resolution.
The waiver required is to allow you to install bollards, electrical equipment, and other things within that drainage easement. So that's the waiver you're seeking, but the condition of that waiver is that you provide the documentation that the entity that owns the easement is going to allow that to happen.
Understood.
It's incorrectly done in the waiver list in the resolution. Ms. Gallagher and I were talking about that. We're going to have to revise that,
Okay.
but that's.
You're going to have a letter that says you're allowed to put that,
Correct.
whoever owns
And
that easement.
should that relief be granted, we'll absolutely provide whatever.
What is it, do you know?
The adjoining tax parcel owner, is that the steel company? Do you mind just giving an overview on the plan and explain what we are installing there?
There's an existing 30-foot wide easement that runs along the property line, 15 feet on either side. The easement, at least it appears to indicate it's for the installation, maintenance of various utilities, not specific to any one utility. What's proposed to be put in there is basically a substation of sorts, an electrical system to feed the building. So it is a utility. It's just a matter of, I guess, clarifying that the adjacent property owners, it's acceptable for us to use that part of the easement as well as a portion of theirs for some minor grading.
And we will provide satisfactory, should that relief be granted, we'll provide any additional satisfactory documentation to township staff should anything additionally be required. And thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Any further questions on that waiver, particular request? Okay. Next, 19152-1B3B1, requiring disturbance of no greater than 30% of existing steep slopes with grades of 15 to 25%. We are proposing 40% disturbance. Do you mind just giving a summary and overview of the waiver?
The disturbance to steep slopes is associated with the Phase 2 addition. The roadway is higher than the building. It all appears to be disturbed slopes, man-made conditions, and we're just grading into those man-made conditions and sort of regrading them to fit the building in there. But they appear to be all made from when the road was built and the original building was constructed.
Mr. Sullivan, is that accurate?
Yes, that's an accurate representation.
Any further questions regarding that waiver?
I don't think so.
All right. Next is a partial waiver, 19178C2, requiring location names and widths of streets, various other items, and tax parcel identification information, water courses, et cetera, within 200 feet of any part of the property. I'm just giving a summary of how we've.
I think that's one we see that routinely. That's
Sure.
That's understandable, and I don't think the board has any issue with that one. Comments or questions from board members for Mr. Fox or Mr. Havers? Mr. Galloway?
Just that, Mr. Sullivan, you have no other concerns?
Not at this time, no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Boraski?
No.
Mr. Dents?
No, this is it's cut and dry, it's in an industrial area. I just wish that your client had just come here in the beginning, and we would have been so much easier than all the trouble that we've gone through so far and the money you wasted on legal fees. It would have been, this is a great opportunity with 150 jobs. There's no reason anybody would be opposed to this. But we're moving forward, and it's a great plan, and we're happy to have you expanding in Falls Township.
And thank you again, if I may.
Yep.
We thank the township staff because the pace of things got ahead of us candidly, and your point is recognized, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rocco?
I have none.
No? The only thing I was going to point out was the fire marshal's letter. I don't know if this is something you've seen or not, dated January 17th, 2015. I have a copy.
January 27,
Yes.
regarding no building, fire alarm, fire sprinkler plans submitted. If those have not been submitted, we would, of course, I believe our architect has submitted the fire suppression plans. If
Okay.
not, that is something we will absolutely.
I believe that is correct,
Correct.
Mr. Harvey. That has been submitted and is being reviewed by the fire marshal at this time.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
would, of course, address the concerns to the satisfaction of staff.
All right. I think the fire department connection has to be changed to, I think that was point 2, and the knockbox as well.
Correct.
There's a will complies.
Yep, and with those will comply.
Okay. Okay. Are there comments or questions from
I
board
have
members?
none, no.
No.
Any public comment needed? See one hand. Motion to open public comment.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just want to thank him for the 150 jobs. Let it go.
And Mr. Kinney says he thanks you for the 150 jobs. Okay.
We should have made him walk up here.
Yeah, we should
He's
have.
got a sore knee.
All right, is there a motion to close public comments?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. This would be Resolution 15-6.
6.
Okay, which is granting preliminary and final to the one phase of the project and just preliminary to the second phase. Is there a motion from anyone on the board?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 15-6.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Pullen, can you let the record show?
Thank you all.
I'm going to abstain.
Yes.
The company I work for currently has a business relationship with KVK.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I should ask you to approve that. Okay, thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
We're going to have to revise the resolution. That's fine.
Okay, item 3 on our agenda is to consider quotes for the 2015 mosquito season. It's kind of funny that we're now just referring to it as a season. Mr. Gray?
Yes, thank you. The township recently solicited mosquito quotes for the upcoming summer. Only one company provided a full quote. That company was Clark Mosquito in the amount of $11,600.
Isn't it Rudolph and Clark?
Oh, that's a different company.
I'm sorry.
Falls Township has contracted with Clark Mosquito for the last few years, and we have worked very closely to work on the mosquito issues that have happened in the past few summers. The board is asked to consider the quote for Clark Mosquito of $11,600. In addition, Ms. Lauren Lockstamfer from Clark Mosquito is here for any questions the board may have.
Okay. I want to thank Mr. Gray first off. There's seven different companies that were contacted by the township, and Clark Mosquito was the only one to reply with any kind of submission. So we appreciate that first off. I think it's just a hair cheaper than last year, which is always good news. I guess comments or questions for Clark Mosquito regarding what they do, what they're going to be doing. Anybody?
I think is this our third year doing it? Is that our third?
Third or fourth?
Third or fourth?
Yeah.
They kind of all blend together.
Yeah, so, no, I'm pretty familiar with what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Okay.
This is a problem much like the geese in the park. It's just not going to go away. I think that we're one of the few towns that actually do this on their own
think
without
we're-
relying on the county to do it.
I think we're the only town
We're the only town.
in Bucks County, I believe.
So, yeah, I don't think you're ever going to get rid of them completely, but that's something else. Residents need to be aware of what they need to do in their own properties to help fight the mosquitoes. Like standing water is a problem everywhere, but I think this is, we have to do it, just like the geese.
Okay.
That's all.
Mr. Boraski? Mr. Galloway?
No.
And you're the only game in town.
And the mosquitoes last year weren't so bad, right?
They got bad for a little bit in the beginning of the year because we were pretty heavy with floodwater.
Oh, in the beginning,
And then it started to dry up towards the end, so. But West Nile, we had kind of a average year, normal year for that. Bucks County ended up having, I believe, 3 human cases and 65 positive mosquito pools. 6 or those came from Falls Township, and that's with the surveillance that the health department's doing. So we're looking at the nuisance side of it, the health department's looking at the actual viral side of it.
Right.
Okay. And you do work with the county, I know the county sprays periodically, and you guys work, so we're not sort of
Yes,
double
so
dosing an area.
we're definitely in contact with the county. If we're seeing any trends in our traps, we let them know what's going on, and they notify me if you guys have positives, or if they're gonna be planning spraying as well, that'll come through Peter or through me. And we can coordinate and make sure we're not doing any overlap.
Okay. Having been here a couple of years, is there anything, I guess, you're learning about the issue here that's, you know, that you're having to adjust, or are we getting sort of on top of this a little bit, or?
I think one of the things that impacted us last year, we needed to get press releases out faster for spray events.
Okay.
I think that definitely impacted some of the spraying that we could have performed, that maybe wasn't just because, you know, it ended up taking way too long and the traps naturally end up going down by then. But if we're, you know, getting 400 to 500 mosquitoes in a trap in a residential area, that's definitely showing that that area's got a significant problem and they're going to need some help. So
think I have that many in
faster
my
response
backyard.
on that would be ideal.
Okay. Yeah, certainly that's something we're going to be trying to do a better job of. Any other comments or questions? No? Any public comment needed? See no hands. Okay, then, is there a motion to retain the services of Clark Mosquito for the 2015 spring, summer, and fall? I'm not going to call it mosquito season. In the amount of $11,600.
So moved.
Second.
Spending money. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, next item on our agenda is consider portable restroom service bids for the township facilities for 2015. Mr. Gray, this is kind of new for us to do this.
Yes, thank you. The township opened sealed bids on Thursday, March 12th for portable restrooms at several township locations. This is for the time period beginning April 1st and ending December 31st. 3 bids were received. The first bidder, Reinhardt's Potty Queen, $11,607.96. Johnny on the Spot LLC, $9,367.41, and George Allen, $11,943.75. Based on the 3 quotes, Johnny on the Spot is the lowest responsible bidder. The board is asked to consider Johnny on the Spot for portable restroom services for the township for the remainder of the year, contingent on securing a Pennsylvania workers' comp insurance certificate and securing a Falls Township business license.
What was the name of the first company again?
Reinhardt's Potty Queen.
I just wanted to hear you say it again.
How did we, just give us an idea, Mr. Gray, how did we typically do, I mean, this is for people that go to the Township Park or Quaker Penn Park or any other places, you know, the township parks where we have porta potties. How did we retain services before? I mean, was it just one company, we've always just had them, or?
We've always had a company, we've worked with George Allen in the past. Through the last few years, our expenses have increased and based on additional services throughout the township, and we've gotten to a point where we have exceeded the amount that's required for bidding in terms of the dollars spent, so we had to go out for bid for this current year.
Okay. All right. And this is, well, how much did we spend last year?
$22,000.
$22,000.
Yes.
Okay. And so now we're looking to retain Johnny on the Spot LLC for a little over $9,000.
Yes.
And same number of facilities?
Yes, it is. It's it'll be at Von Hoffman Park, Quaker Penn Park, and Falls Township Community Park. In addition, we've requested, we may need additional services from time to time at various locations, and they would be willing to comply.
Okay. All right, for what, like Queue for the Troops kind of thing?
Queue for the Troops, township events, there could be some services for different organizations who may require facilities.
And just to clarify, when you say 22,000, that includes everything you're speaking of now.
That's
So
correct.
It doesn't appear that we're saving half the cost, so we could spend 22,000 again.
We could, well, this is only for 9 months. The first 3 months, there wasn't, this was not included. So we'd have to do a full year, see what the cost would be.
Okay.
But we could get over 20,000 again.
It's possible.
So based on this, if it's $9,000 for 9 months, then obviously for 12 months would be roughly $12,000 for still the low bidder, just prorating everything out.
Right.
Yeah, for the extras, we'll have to wait and see what the extras are and how we can do that, but, I'm certainly willing to give this a shot and see if we can save some money. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray? Mr. Galloway?
No.
No?
No.
No. You answered my question.
Mr. Rocco?
No, I'm good.
Okay. And I think one of the things I was kind of interested in, and I think I started this when my kids were little and we'd have to use the porta potties. All of these are going to have hand sanitizers in
Hand
them?
sanitizers in every one, yes.
That's
That's the best add-on to Porta Johns ever.
It's, it's something to go in with a 3-year-old daughter, and there's no hand sanitizer in the porta potty. That was a lesson I learned the hard way.
That was good, the questions.
Huh?
The questions that they had when you.
Yeah. I don't imagine there's any public comment. Okay. All right. Is there a motion then to accept the bid from Johnny on the Spot LLC, $9,367.41, pending their ability to obtain a Falls Township business license and Pennsylvania comp insurance?
So moved.
Yes. Seconded.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
All right, and staying on that topic, we'll move to fertilizer now. All right. Consider quotes for fertilizer for township facilities for 2015. Mr. Gray?
Yes, the township secured 3 quotes for the 2015 fertilization year throughout the township. 3 quotes were secured. The first one was True Green, $15,620. Realty Landscaping Corporation, $18,325, and Excel Maintenance Service, $19,650. We have had True Green for the past few years, and Mr. Arneo, our Public Works Foreman, recommends that we continue for 2015 with this company as well. Board is asked to consider True Green at this time.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Gray? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes, Mr. Gray, what, can you just give us an idea of the general areas that get done?
Yes. Sites include the Community Park Phase 1 and Phase 2, Fallsington Park, Von Hoffman Park, Mill Creek Fields, Austin Drive Fields, Pinewood Pool, the Township Building, and 3 Arches.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Okay. All right, any public comment needed? See no hands. Is there a motion then to accept the bid of $15,620 for fertilization from True Green?
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, minutes for the past 2 meetings, our next item on the agenda. Any comments, questions, or corrections on the minutes for February 17th?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs.
No.
Pullen.
No, everybody's all right?
Yep.
How about comments, questions, corrections for March 3rd minutes?
None.
None.
Okay, is there a motion then to accept both minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, engineers report, Mr. Sullivan?
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. At the Quaker Penn Park boat ramp, the seasonal dredging was unable to be accomplished before the environmental window closed on March 15th due to ice in the river and other environmental conditions. Any dredging that may be required will be completed after the environmental window opens back up, sometime either in June or July. Boaters will be cautioned to be careful during low tides. We don't think there's an issue with the dredging, but it can change very quickly out there. So, and the dock should be going in at the usual time around April 15th. But during low tide conditions, boaters should be careful that there's no issues with the props on the boats.
Can you explain the environmental window and why we can't dredge during certain times?
There's between March 15th and either June 1st or June 30th, depending on which permit we're looking at. There is some species of fish that can't be disturbed when they're nesting. So we can't disturb the waters around the boat ramp at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
That's every year.
That's every year.
Yeah. Okay. Because that was an issue when we went to repair some of the piles last year. We had to wait until after that window was passed.
It's been an issue every year with the boat ramp since we've installed it.
Okay. just while we're talking about that issue, I know also that Waste Management is going to be paving that road that leads to Quaker Penn Park from past Pennsbury Manor all the way down to Quaker Penn Park. You know, that road is often, you know, it was like a war zone for a while, you know, the size of the potholes. And they were doing a decent job of filling it last year with stone when we reminded them to, and I think they're going to be paving it now. Is that your understanding too?
My understanding is Mr. Gray and I are going to meet with representatives from Waste Management to discuss that very item, and it is our understanding that they will be paving that road sometime this year.
Okay. And hopefully they'll do that sooner rather than later. And it will be an inconvenience, obviously, where they're paving it. People won't be able to access that area. We're not sure when exactly they're going to do it, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Right, paving window opens around April 15th, so at the same time we're opening the boat ramp. Maybe delay the boat ramp for a week if Waste Management's ready to go.
Okay. All right. Anything else in your report you want to highlight?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Galloway?
None.
Mr. Boraski?
No.
Mr. Dents?
Yes. It's not in your report, but the road program from last year, I imagine the punch list that was never completed is going to be starting soon?
Yeah, there's a walkthrough on Monday, the 23rd of March, with myself, representatives from JDM and our inspector, to discuss the remaining items on the punch list.
And there are many.
And there are many, and to resolve all those items and get the work done.
Now, I know on Rice Drive, just one spot, I'm sure there's other spots, there's standing water where there were repairs done, the upper end of Rice Drive towards Bernard, where it was newly paved, and there was patches right along the curb line, where there's still standing water when it rains.
That's correct. And
It's on your list.
That is on the list, yes it is.
Okay. That's all I have for now, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rocco?
I have none.
Okay, and I have none. Is there a motion to accept the minutes, or excuse me, accept the engineering report from the engineer?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, bill list. Bills this month in the amount of $1,763,343.37. Of that 1.7 million, a little over 1.2, almost 1.3 million of that is salary, health care, streetlights, also 3 different funds: highway aid, crime prevention fund, which is state money, and the escrow fund, which is put up by developers. So about 1.2 million of that, 1.3 million just about of the 1.7 falls into those categories. I think comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the bill list? No?
None.
None.
Okay. Is there a motion then to pay the bills, $1,763,343.37?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, executive session, we did meet briefly before the meeting. Mr. Clark, can you just give us a real quick
Just to
summary?
discuss a matter of potential litigation.
All right, microphone, potential litigation, thank you.
Bless you.
Okay, bless you. All right, manager comment, Mr. Gray?
Yes, just a few items tonight. On March 3rd, a hearing was held pursuant to Chapter 206-12 of the Falls Township Code regarding allegations that Falls Auto Body had violated Chapter 206 of the code. Based on the evidence presented, it is recommended that the Board of Supervisors find that Falls Auto Body did violate Chapter 206 of the Township Code. It is recommended that the Falls Auto Body be required to refund the amount of $90 to the complainant and that a fine of $500 be imposed. It is further recommended that a formal warning letter be issued that advises Falls Auto Body that any further violations of the code will result in further sanctions, including but not limited to revocation of the wrecker's license. The board is asked to consider the manager's recommendation at this time.
Okay, comments or questions?
No.
Did they have a license with us this year?
Not this year, no.
Okay.
There was a period of time that they were working. We had the 2014 list that we were working with.
After, Mr. Rocco, the injunction that was filed earlier in the lawsuit that was brought against the township on the towers, the list remained the same as it did from last year. When that injunction was eventually lifted, then we went to what our current tow list is. But for a period of time, we were operating with last year's list.
Right. So us threatening to revoke his license doesn't really do much, right?
Well, as you're aware, the list will become open again at the end of 2015 for 2016. And
All this
if
stuff
this,
carries over.
if this, but it certainly does. We can take into consideration any actions by the tower while they were on our list.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
Okay, is there a motion then to endorse the manager's recommendation regarding Falls Auto Body Incorporated?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Township received a letter from Mr. Sullivan at T&M dated March 11th regarding escrow release number 1 for Pexco Custom Plastic Extrusions in the amount of $161,040.41. The board is asked to consider escrow release number 1 at this time.
Okay, any comments or questions?
No.
No.
No? Is there a motion then to release the escrow $161,040.41?
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Township received a letter from Mr. Robert Tracy at the American Legion dated March 11th, indicating that they will be having the upcoming American Legion Memorial Day Parade this coming May. Each year, the township does provide a donation to the American Legion. The township has budgeted $6,000 for this event. At this time, the board is asked to consider the donation to the American Legion.
Okay. Comments or questions?
No.
None.
No.
Okay, is there a motion then to approve the donation of $6,000 to the American Legion for the Memorial Day Parade?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Township had a state of emergency beginning 6 p.m. Wednesday, March 4th through 6 a.m. Friday, March 6th, due to a recent storm. Per the township ordinance, the manager may declare a local emergency subject to ratification by the Board of Supervisors at their next regularly scheduled meeting. At this time, the board is asked to approve the action imposed by the township manager.
Comments or questions?
No.
No?
None.
Okay, is there a motion then to approve the state of emergency?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to make an announcement that the Puss in Boots Mylars are ready for signature, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, move to board comment. Mr. Galloway, on St. Patty's Day, we'll start with you.
Well, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone here. As everyone's probably aware, the parade was canceled due to inclement weather on Saturday. But we can't do anything about the weather. That was the third time in 27 years that it occurred. What we did have in place is we had the parade mass beforehand at St. Joe's, which was a wonderful event. And then we followed that up with what we call a hoolie, which is an hour celebration that lasted an extra long time in the afternoon. So I want to thank the township for its support and its supervisors. Tonight I did return the check to Peter Gray from the township in the amount of $6,000 that the township had given us to help finance the parade. And of course, since we didn't go forward, we decided to return it right away. We didn't even cash it yet, so.
Okay.
But once again, happy St. Patrick's Day, and thank you all for your support.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Boraski?
I have nothing.
Mr. Dents?
Yes. We heard from Mr. Hess from the CEDC about the live here, spend here. And this is an idea that I came up with back when I was working in Burlington County, which he mentioned. And I threw out a number there of $20 a week households spending in the township would generate $13 million. So you can imagine the money you would generate if you did all your shopping in the township that you can, not just $20 a week that you usually spend somewhere else. And, you know, it creates jobs, it creates a tax base for the township. It's just a no-brainer, really. And I think that, you know, he seems to be really excited and enthusiastic about it. I think it's going to be a great thing moving forward. And the one other thing that Mr. Kenny keeps bringing up week after week is this earned income tax. And I have heard a few people mention this to me again. And this is not something that myself definitely didn't support it in the beginning. We did do a study And the numbers just didn't make sense for anybody up here, and they all voted no on it. And just because they did the study didn't mean that they were supporting an earned income tax anyway. So, as far as anybody up here is concerned, and I think I'm pretty accurate when I say it's dead. It couldn't be more dead, the earned income tax. It's not happening. It's not even on the agenda for anyone. So, that's all I have right now, and thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rocco?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Gray, I think you sent an email that the LED lights, we received the first shipment of LED lights.
Yes, that's correct. Last Friday, they came in.
You know how many there are, and then when they're going to start doing the install?
We, our Public Works foreman did reach out to the contractor, Armor Electric. I do not know the date at this time. Mr. Arneo was out yesterday. I could circle back and I could let you know tomorrow.
All right, great. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great thing, so I'm looking forward to seeing them get installed. That's all I have. Thank
And
you.
one more thing for Mr. Gray. When you have a chance, can you have someone synchronize the clocks? Because they seem to be quite a few minutes fast.
Sure.
Thank you.
Those are the official clocks, though, for the meeting.
Mr. Harvey has the official clock.
Yeah. I want to thank all the board members for all their work. My sympathies go out to Mr. Galloway and the rest of the parade committee. I know it was a lot of work you put in all year long to try and get everything lined up, and to have it rain is obviously a huge disappointment. I personally knew the Grand Marshal this year, Joe Hogan, a Vietnam veteran who's done a lot for veterans in this area. Is a great guy, and it was glad to see that he was appointed Grand Marshal. Disappointed, I'm sure, as he was, that he wasn't able to have the parade. But I know he'll be able to march wearing that sash in every parade, going forward.
Yes, he will.
So, and he's certainly a very good, deserving candidate. So, thank you for the work you and your family put in, and all the other people involved. And not all of them are in your family. I think most of them, but not all of them.
Many.
Many. So. The only other item to bring up this evening is Levittown Fire Company is having a fundraiser. They do these periodically. A designer bag bingo on Saturday, April 11th, offering purses by Coach Michael Kors and Kate Spade. For more information, please call 215-791-1309. And I'm sure, I know there's probably a flyer that'll be probably up on the Township channel at some point, usually do. It's a great opportunity, as we talked about, living here, spending here, supporting one of our fire companies in their efforts to raise money that help them do their job to keep us safe and our properties protected. And again, thanking Mr. Dents for the work he did, kind of spearheading the idea. The CEDC, with Mr. Galloway sits on, Pete Gray working as well. So we did it's a brief agenda, I think, this evening, but I think we did some good things, bringing in a company with 150 jobs and saving some money, hopefully, at the park, and continuing our fight against mosquitoes to keep residents safe. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.